Hello guys, how are you doing? I wanted to get the vibe to read even during the holidays, so I picked up the books related to the country I visited. Recently I went to Paris, so I picked up this book, The Little Prince by Anthony de Exupery. The story is not related to Paris or France, but the author is. Anthony de Exupery was a pilot before World War II, and he was a French writer and a poet. I hope you have watched my other book review of Paris for One by Jojo Moyes. If you haven't, I linked at the top left corner of this video. Let's dive into the story. The story is set in Sahara Desert. Once the author Anthony's plane crashed into Libyan desert in 1935. I guess the story is kind of his aviation experience. The story starts with the childhood memory of a pilot who attempted to draw a boa constrictor swallowing an elephant. It is written in his point of view. I'll show the picture. This is a boa constrictor swallowing an elephant from outside. So when he showed this to grown-ups, they said it was a hat. Come on, at first glance no one can tell it is a boa constrictor swallowing an elephant. They advised him to devote himself to geography, grammar, arithmetic, and history. So his painting career was over at the age of 6. He learned to pilot the aeroplanes, so I'm damn sure at this point he learned geography. When he met any clear sighted adult, he used to show his childhood drawing of boa constrictor swallowing an elephant. When they responded it was a hat, he didn't want to look naive, so he brought himself down to adult level and had a sensible talk about golf, politics, and bridges. He had an accident with his plane in the Sahara Desert 6 years ago. No worries, he drove alone, no passengers. He just drank enough water to last a week. I guess this is author's real life experience when he crashed into Libyan desert with a bit of imagination and exaggeration. On the desert, one morning he was woken up by a little boy who asked him to draw a sheep. It was beyond his wildest dream to see a little boy over there. The pilot panicked seeing him in the deserted place. There was no habitation where the plane crashed. The boy was also not a lost child. He finally drew a boa constrictor from the outside. The little boy refused to accept the drawing. He asked, "Draw me a sheep." Then the pilot drew a sickly sheep, a ram with its horns, and an old sheep. He rejected all of them. He said he wanted a sheep that could live long. So he finally drew a box and said the sheep was inside. The little boy was convinced, and the pilot made his acquaintance. He learned that little boy came from the sky, and little interesting science facts are also sprinkled throughout this book. Like an astronomer discovers a small planet, he usually doesn't give a name, rather a number. Eternal things like volcanoes, rivers, mountains are geographically recorded by a geographer, but not plants and stuff, since they are ephemeral. Our pilot believed the Little Prince came from. I think I didn't mention how he was known as Little Prince. His attire was like a prince, so that's how the name came. So he believed he came from the asteroid B612. He was frustrated how he was going to explain his meeting with the Little Prince to the grown ups on Earth. Grown ups can't believe in magic, to be precise, the extraterrestrial things. Unlike our pilot, he is filled with resentments towards the adults who entered his painting career. The pilot learned something about the little boy each day. The boy was curious, so asked so many questions and rarely responded. On the fourth day, the pilot learned that he could watch the sunset anytime he wanted on his planet. He lived on a small planet, the space was like a small house, so he had to just move his chair to watch the sunset. The little boy owned a plant and three volcanoes. Since his planet was small, so were his volcanoes, he cleaned them regularly. He wanted to explore other asteroids and make friends, so he visited 6 asteroids and met all the inhabitants of the planet. Only one person was living in each planet. The first planet, he met a king, considered man on the second, tippler on the third, businessman on the fourth, lamplighter on the fifth, and geographer on the sixth. He couldn't get his head around their ideas, and mostly all the people he met were ridiculous except the lamplighter. I think he wants to find an utopian society, but he was disappointed. For this kind of utopian dream, I believe A new universe should be born. Reading the words like tippler, conceited man, and geographer made me feel like a child is familiarizing himself or herself with a new vocabulary from his or her books. The king is the one to rule, the businessman is the one to own. Things like people's titles and responsibility, the way all the children books do. But this is not the takeaway from this book. This book is filled with deep morals, which I don't think children between the age 6 and 10 can easily understand. Now, our pilot has gathered so much, not our pilot, so sorry, the little prince gathered so much wisdom from his visit to each asteroid. Oh god, I deviated. Based on geographer's suggestion on the sixth planet, he visited the Earth. Don't ask me how he can visit Earth just like that. Reading this book, I want to be irrational because I'm an adult. Also, I want to keep in mind that this book is originally meant for children. The little prince met a pilot. The story goes and it further unfolds if he has made friends on Earth. He wanted to leave the Earth on the ninth or 10th day, I guess. So before leaving, he told the pilot his asteroid is one of the stars. If he is sorrowful, he can look at the stars. If they had comforted him, he would have known the little prince. The ending is little unexpected. I read it on Wikipedia. It is from author's real life. After returning to the earth, the pilot did not tell this incident to anyone because the grown-ups can't believe him. This is a famous children novel written in mid 19th century, I think. I want to know about the good stories and about the authors, so I picked this up. He had written this when he was away from his home country after losing his brother. I could feel how he would have been torn apart inside while writing this story. It is a short read and under 100 pages. The story was analogous to the real life we live. The people the little prince met on each planet were seeking some eternal happiness and have forgotten to live what was meant to be. Though I don't know what matters of consequence in my life, I feel I have been living the other way most of the time. It is like the author is teasing me. You are a grown up. You can't understand this story. If you want to, read as an innocent child. It did so much to me. We have reached the end of this book review. If you have read and felt like me, let me know in the comment section. Until the next video, lots and lots of hugs and positivity.